Then I thought she might be exactly the person that I can interview and discuss this evening. And she's here. My Engel is hier so kom in. Beauty Ramapelepele. That is so nice.
Thank you, my sweetie.
Dankie, my Engel. Gosh, what have you got there?
I brought you a little something. It's got a whole lot of Xhosa people doing things, and I got you a little card as well.
You got me a little card.
Yes, just for you, my
But you look so interesting. Lieve aarde, this is real. Did you make this yourself?
No, my sweetie, this is from a Nigerian. Yes, I'm importing skills.
You're importing skills.
Yes, my darling. I've got a fabrics and fashion business, but funnily enough, I don't even get the South Africans to make my stuff because the Nigerians are a little bit better and cheaper.
And cheaper. And yes. If you lock them in the room, they don't take your car. Sit here, son, eh? Sit here, son. Beauty. This is such a lovely name. We have never actually met, but I heard so much about you from Tokye Segwale and, of course, Cyril Ramaphosa, who speak very highly of you. You are a self-made woman.
Yes, this is true. This is the fact. I used to be a domestic worker, and I started way back in the 80s and the 90s. And while I was working as a maid, I started to do some needlework for an Afrikaans man called Yanni, and I sewed for him back in the 70s and the 80s. Then I sued him in the 90s.
Yanni!
Yeah, I think he still works for me, actually. I must check.
This is so interesting because, one is, as an Afrikaner, Beauty, is that your real name, Beauty?
Well, it's my real name, so all the faces here can pronounce it.
Well, thank you. Ek is bly nou kan ek dit ook uitspreek. Do you speak Afrikaans, Beauty?
My darling, I don't. It sounds like I've got a cough. I don't want to be rude because I know you. I mean, honestly, my dear darling, but Afrikaans, I thought it was over. I thought that we... No, I thought, it was like bird flu.
Bird flu?
Yeah. A few people got infected, but then we stamped it out, but...
Did you have dreams as a little girl?
Yes, I did, because I was working for this family called the Whitakers, and I was conceived under the tree of a primrose bush in the garden, which obviously now has been made way for off-street parking. And it was beautiful. And I always thought, I am going to do needlework, I am going to sew. And then a man in Knysna, a tourist, he bought one of my throws for me, which I had handmade. And that was my starting point. And now I've just got the contract for all the costumes for the 2010 Soccer World Cup.
Hey, my master.
So you want work, come to me.
Now, who's going to wear the costumes? Bafana, they'll only play one match.
Oh, gosh. No, you're right. I'm worried about our boys. No, it's for all the ceremony. All this, they're doing lots of things, lots of beautiful
Well, our deputy president, Mbete, will need lots of costumes because she loves Mbete. She's got all these lovely hats.
Which one, Zanele?
No.
Oh, deputy. Oh, sorry.
Deputy.
Okay,
no, Zanele is no Zanele. Where is she now? No, that's Zanele Mbeki. You didn't even know that Thabo Mbeki was married. I don't think he knew it either. Dis weer 'n ander storie.
I don't think she knew it either.
I want to ask you something which I heard, and it worries me. Maybe we shouldn't talk about this in front of too many people, but there is a rumor which I read in a newspaper that I might become Jacob Zuma's seventh wife. Somebody then said, I must mention to you because there is talk that you have also been approached.
But he told me 7.
He said for you, you'd be the seventh wife?
7. Oh, is it you 7?
For me, he said 7.
7. Maybe I can be 8. I don't mind. I mean, it doesn't matter. Honestly, they're all going to fall off as time goes on anyway,
I'd rather you were 7th, that when I come in as 8th, then you can help me in the kitchen.
Oh, yes, I can. That was very clever. I had a white maid, interestingly. Yeah, she was very nice, but I had to come home every time and she was dancing to white music, and I just thought, and I suddenly thought, this is why white men play golf,
It's
It's so funny how things have come and changed. And
that's change I was saying to them earlier on. Change is sometimes the most unexpected thing in the world. Yeah. Beauty, would you, and I mean, this is a totally theoretical thing because it couldn't happen that I would be your maid, but if the day came that you needed an older Afrikaans woman, is there something I could do in your business? Is there something I could actually contribute?
I suppose there is. You know what? For me, one of the saddest things that I see now, when I drive along the road and I see these poor white people We're sitting there with their faces all drained, and for a moment, you just see a moment of hope. But these people have lost their jobs, and they have got nothing. They're at the robot. And I think that these people are becoming the waste of our country, and we need to pick them up, my sweetie. We need to pick these people up, and we need to allow them opportunities also to do needlework, to clean floors, to sit with the bum in the air and clean mass out of the element of my toaster.
Niemand is waar.
We must give opportunities.
There is no reason that 47% of our people have no jobs. I think people are being too choosy. I mean, how many times do you pass paper bags in the street? Is there somebody to pick up the paper bags? Don't you think Robert McBride should pick up plastic bags for at least over his head and just keep it there? Beauty, we have an election coming up. How does it affect you as a businesswoman? And you have got BEE connections. What is the speech pattern around BEE people about the election?
Well, you know, as long as the blacker you are, 20 more points on your scorecard, and that's really all you need to do. You just, it's a very structured system, and you must make sure that you have all the points in the right places, suppliers, management, workforce, all this. So I make sure all that is in place, and then I pay the person who registers your BE company the right amount of money to show that my statistics are correct. Invest in Africa, buy a politician.
It sounds just like life under the National Party. But I must say that you have a great sense of style. I like your outfits. It's so wonderful to see.
I feel dwarfed, my sweetie, when I look at you, and I've been watching you for so many years, my lovely. Honestly, and you are an absolute inspiration for the women of this world. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Am I right, people?
I am.
Please, am I right? I'm sorry. I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm serious. This woman, honestly. No, I don't usually like whites, you know. For me, they're like insects. But this one, hey. No, I know they're good for the environment. I just don't want them in my house, you know. But this one is different.
Well, I can just say I'm a grandmother and I am inspired for the future. My little grandchildren, my 3 little grandchildren. You know I've got 3 black grandchildren.
Have you really?
I think they're darker than you. I mean, you are a sort of a Barack Obama beige.
Yes, but you know now.
It's a beautiful color.
Yes, yes. Beige is in, my sweetie. Lighteners are very in. If you can get a good lightener, it's worth it. It really is worth it. I mean, you don't need it, but me, I need it.
No, my lieve Arda, I don't need it, but my little grandchildren are so proud. And they say to me, Gogo Vukusenzela. Ek sê, sis, what is the business?
Yes.
What about politics? Has this ever attracted your attention?
No, not really. You know, politicians, they are there to be used, and you know, they are just a stepping stone to something greater.
And
look at America. Tell me, once this economy starts flying, I'm telling you, politicians, George Bush disposable, businessmen. Does anyone see Bill Gates being kicked out? No, serious, I'll tell the businesswomen will always be there, my sweetie. Well, I will not go in your rubbish bin.
No. I am just trying to work out all the things that are going through my head because we are confused. We try to think that all politicians will go into business. We should also have a law to say that if you're a politician for the next 3 years, you do not become the director of 42 companies. You do not, because it's nonsense. We need people to rule the country who know how to run a country. And really, truly, Beauty, if there's anything you can do to contribute to this, I would like you to.
I will do my best. I'm a young upstart, and I you know, and I'm hoping that that if I fish in the right ponds, I will come out with a fish that is not guttered. I'm not quite sure what that means, but...
But you have got your ID book and your barcodes?
No, I've got all that. Yes, I'm very organized, my sweetie. Don't worry. I'm not too underhand. Only when it's absolutely necessary.
Well, I'm glad to share you with these people here because most of us forget that the good news is always somewhere in South Africa. Bad news you see because it stands up in a red dress and waves its hands at you. Good news you have to look for because it's on the floor, scrubbing the floor and working. For every piece of bad news, there are always 2 pieces of good news. Let the glass always stay half full and never half empty. Beauty, my dear, thank you for coming and joining me here tonight. Dankie, my